How the hell can anyone think that this demon would be a healer? If that is what you've been thinking, then know that I was once like you. I was once lost and in the dark too, but after reading the good book of Google, I have come to see the light. I have been saved, Guang Guang be praised. And I'm about to spread the gospel, just like the priest that Nightcrawler is. We are going to break down Nightcrawler's place in the Holy Trinity of character design, using the Holy Trinity of YouTube comments. When? Why? How? Stick around until section 3 of this video because the how will be dropping a full fan-made gameplay kit that proves that Nightcrawler indeed is a strategist. Starting with when, which, spoiler alert, close your pointy ears and cover your glowing eyes. Skip this section right now if you don't want leaked content to corrupt your faith. Okay, are they all gone? The Season 9.5 hero will be the Hood! You guys are still there, huh? Hurry up and skip to the later, okay? Get. Okay, finally. It has been leaked that Nightcrawler will be one of our 2 Season 10 heroes, along with Gore the God Butcher. We know that Dr. Doom is also going to be one of our 2 Season 11 heroes. Well, what does that have anything to do with Nightcrawler being a strategist, though? Well, like the mad genius that I apparently am, I have used good old-fashioned pattern recognition and mathematics based off of Marvel Rivals' past to try to predict their future. If it is true that the Hood is going to be a Vanguard, like everyone's saying he will be, and like what is in the files right now, then I have determined that he will be an off-tank of sorts. NetEase pulls a classic marketing move, where they usually release the more obscure hero first, so that they can save the more interesting hero for later, to keep everybody hyped through the 0.5 patches. Keeping that in mind, and the fact that there are voice lines in the game already for interactions with Gore the God Butcher, I believe that it is clear that Gore is going to be our Season 10.0 hero. Now, the tank drought might be bad, but I don't think it's bad enough where we are going to get another Vanguard for 3 seasons in a row. That's just not their style. Additionally, we already have a lot of gods in the game as big old Vanguards. So, in order to counter that, we would probably need a tank killer. So the math, the scheduling, and just the style of the character all point in one direction. Gore is going to be a melee duelist. Let's fast forward to Season 11.5. Dr. Doom's bulky armor and model can't be read as anything other than a main tank Vanguard. Let's just be honest. This means that to balance the general pattern, they need a ranged duelist and an off-healer strategist in between the release of Gore and Doom. They already learned the hard way that a double duelist season tends to cause riots. So they're going to release the ranged duelist in Season 11.0 and an off-healing strategist in Season 10.5, which, if you haven't been keeping up, is where I think Nightcrawler is going to release. Math is math, time is time, it all checks out. Scheduling says Nightcrawler has a high chance of being a strategist, with some chance of him being a duelist. Just not a Vanguard. As funny as Tank Crawler would be. If you just skipped here, welcome back to the why. Listen. If your only exposure to Nightcrawler is that epic X2 movie opening scene where he terrorizes the White House, I get it. However, after Ishali Art and myself had started working on the collaboration of Nightcrawler fan art together, we had to think about what role he would be. Our first thought was duelist. But then we wanted to make sure we were accurate to his character, so we did our research. What we found is that Nightcrawler's lore was very interestingly leading us to think that it would make more sense for him to be a strategist. And here's why. Number 1. Let's start by prefacing this with that Marvel Rivals does not purely use the powers alone to determine what abilities someone is going to have in-game. Look at most of the strategists. Gambit, Ultron, Jeff, Jubilee. I mean, show me one comic panel where Deadpool is gently patching wounds instead of slicing off his own arm for the lulz. What we have learned from all that NetEase has done is that they don't actually care if people can heal, and they latch onto whatever they can to shove a character into the support category because of how hard it is to fit someone in. Number 2. What does determine it? Whatever the hell NetEase wants is the real answer, but from what we have found looking at it, most heroes, it isn't about whether or not they would heal, so much as whether or not they would act as a strategist support in a fight. Whereas vanguards are the larger heroes who act as the big front line, and duelists are the slippery heroes who focus on trying to beat down their enemies. And NetEase has already stated that with duelists, those will act as catch-all dumpsters for any character that they can't fit neatly into vanguard or strategist. However, NetEase themselves do not 100% follow this rule to the letter. I'm looking at you, Doctor Strange, being a vanguard, when it would make way more sense for him to be a strategist. Number 3. So, let's address the elephant in the room. Nightcrawler is a literal duelist, as in someone who performs fencing duels. He teleports around with 3 swords. How could he not be a melee assassin like Black Cat, Black Panther, Daredevil, Magic, or Psylocke? Well, because of why Nightcrawler fights like that. Nightcrawler is a huge fan of swashbuckling movies, where the hero is someone who protects others with swords. His emulation of those heroic characters acts as his core for his combat style, as opposed to all these other characters who are trained to use their skills to harm others, even if it is for a good cause. Number 4. Despite his demonic-like appearance, Nightcrawler is actually a priest. He is a literal cleric of the X-Men. His devout beliefs have not really led him to completely avoid killing, like Daredevil or Spider-Man would, but to just try to avoid unnecessary killing. So his fighting style is much more focused on using his powers to displace and confuse enemies, and support allies by putting them in advantageous positions, and acting as a combat medic for injured allies, bringing them back to safety. Number 5. The whole point of Nightcrawler as a character is to take someone who looks like he would be evil and to show that he is the kindest and most compassionate of them all, and reflect that stance onto mutants as a whole. His role in most of his stories is to not really act as a great fighter, but as a spiritual and emotional healer for those who find themselves in hard times. If you can look at how this man calms down Wolverine and not believe that there might be a hint of strategist in him, I don't know what would tell you that. Number 6. Nightcrawler's sword I have put into the art is not a normal fencing sword. That is the Hope Sword. It is a special soul weapon he uses in the comics, and it's like Magic's soul sword, but it represents the hope that Nightcrawler brings to others. As a result, it has the magical ability to disrupt technology and spells, defeat enemies without fatally harming them, and provide mental healing to the broken, traumatized minds of others. Just like Nightcrawler's whole point as a priest, and just the most human X-Men, he seeks to heal that which has been broken inside of people. Alright, genius, but Daredevil is a devout, non-killing Catholic too, but we don't see him sending hopes and prayers to heal people on the battlefield. Valid point. Godly intent does not make a strategist, but he has to make some kind of sense doing strategist things. So now we get to the most important part. The way we made his abilities for our fan concept to prove that he could work well as a strategist. We think the base health would be low. I'm thinking 250 to 275 to keep it to where he can stay a bit in the fray, but most likely would need to be agile and get in and out easily. Left click would be his Hope Sword. He lunges forward, damaging enemies hit and healing nearby allies. This would be a basic melee attack with his Hope Sword. He would do decently high damage to his enemies and release a big area of healing after each hit, kind of like Deadpool, representing the encouragement he inspires in his allies. For his right click, Impalement Arts. He throws a throwing knife that simply damages at a distance. This has 2 ammo, which are instantly reloaded upon using his Shadow Step ability. We'll talk about that later. This is just so you aren't completely useless at range, but notice it does not heal. This forces you to actually engage instead of just hiding behind your tanks.
His shift is Shadow Step, a multi-charge teleport to a target location, enemy, or ally. This leaves behind a puff of smoke at the start and end location, which will obscure vision and give allies bonus health while inside. This is his bread and butter teleport that interacts with the rest of his kit. It's a defensive tool rather than a traditional heal. Notice I wrote teleport to a target. This means there is no range limit. However, you can't teleport anywhere you want, like up into the sky or anything. Now, this ability could get OP really quickly based off of everything else working together. So, it would need to only have 2 charges so that his balancing comes from resource management. His E is Bring Bamf. He teleports in a Bamf that floats around on its own, healing allies near them. You can teleport to the Bamf, even through walls. Did you know that Nightcrawler has minions called Bamfs? Well, now you do. This is how you not only get reliable healing, as Bamfs are mysterious creatures where random healing can be a bit more easily excused, but also, this ability is what lets him teleport wherever he wants with setup and counterplay. The Bamfs would float around, so they could be set up over chasms for those sweet knockout kills. However, since you have 2 teleport charges, you still can't teleport to an enemy, grab them, and teleport them off a map, and then teleport back safely. You would have to get rid of one of those teleports, meaning you gotta think through how you use his moves. His F would be Shadow Meld. He turns invisible for a brief time, using any other abilities other than Nightcrawl, which we'll get to in a second, will reveal you. So, while Nightcrawler can't actually turn invisible, he doesn't correctly respond to light. And so he can easily hide in a way that is pretty close to invisibility, enough to make it act as such mechanically. We also have Amazing Acrobatics, which is his double space button press. He performs a double jump, no explanation needed there, he's a circus boy. His passive would be Nightcrawl. Jumping onto a wall, ally, enemy, or Bamf while holding the spacebar will let you crawl onto the target. If you teleport while crawling on an ally, enemy, or Bamf, you will teleport them with you. This makes a ton of sense for setting up how all of this would all add up for him to be able to support. He teleports into the fight, heals at melee, and then, if things go poorly, he can get himself and his allies to safety. Imagine grabbing an overextending Iron Fist and pulling him back to safety, or grabbing the enemy Luna Snow and plopping her right in the middle of a penny nest. The main issue with all of this is just getting the technology to work. But we have similar tech working on characters other than him, so it's not like they would not figure it out at all. Now let's get into his ultimate. Brimstone Dimension. Teleport the whole battlefield into the Brimstone Dimension. While inside, allies will instantly respawn, and your ability cooldowns are significantly reduced. This may sound crazy, but realistically, it would apply a post-processing effect to make it look different, not actually try to teleport a whole map somewhere else. The real effect is giving allies instant respawns back at base, and giving you faster cooldowns for disgusting teleportation and Bamf spam. Let's go into his first team up with Magic. Soulforge Swordmasters. The base, Nightcrawler would learn minions and teleportation management skills from Magic, giving him reduced cooldowns on these abilities. The enhanced effect, Magic would teach Nightcrawler how to use his soul weapon effectively, making his Hope Sword strikes able to heal allies when hitting them directly, instead of needing to hit enemies to heal. His second team up is with Wolverine, obviously. And of course, it's gotta be 9 Blades. The base, Nightcrawler is influenced by Wolverine's ferocity, using 2 swords instead of 1, increasing his attack speed passively. The enhanced effect, Nightcrawler adds a 3rd sword to the mix, enhancing his attack speed even more, and of course, completing every Spider-Man main's dream and actually letting him be a fairly aggressive dive assassin while still being a strategist. Nightcrawler wouldn't just be a healbot strategist like Rocket, Cloak and Dagger, or the actual healbot. He is a high-speed, anti-dive, repositioning man of God who makes sure that everyone is exactly where he wants them to be. Look, I'm a game artist, and it took me 30 minutes max to make a viable strategist kit for him. Imagine what the actual gameplay design team at NetEase could do. I know the diehard DPS mains are still going to want him to be a duelist, which I won't try to stop you from saying that that's your desire. But I hope that you now see that Strategist Nightcrawler is not only possible, but the chances are, even though duelist is still on the table, everything is adding up that he will most likely be a strategist. So hey, looks like I'm going to actually be making more YouTube videos now. I've been wanting to find a way to bring the experience and insight to all of you, which I have developed as a 3D character artist who's been working in the AA and AAA gaming industry for 10 years. My goal is not to make everyone into a game dev overnight, but instead to increase video game literacy, because most people don't really know how all of this works, and that part isn't actually that hard to understand. The information is just not easily available. So I'm going to be trying to make both entertainment videos and educational videos based on my knowledge as a seasoned 3D character artist, including silly theories videos like this one, just because I have a passion for this kind of stuff. And now's the hard part for me to say. So I've put this point where most of the brain rot kids are going to have already clicked off the video. I'm one of the many devs who was laid off as part of the sweeping, non-merit corporate restructuring mass layoffs in the gaming industry. It's hard times out there for people, and capital is thin for people who just want to give the fans cool stuff. So I'm not just going to give this information to all of you by itself. I'm going to try to find a way to not only financially support myself, but also build up spaces and communities to help other game developers who are also laid off. It would really help me not only if you could do the standard YouTube things like comment, like, share, subscribe, but also, like this YouTube channel, I have a Patreon that is in its infancy. And as of the recording of this YouTube video, it only has a $1 a month support a starving artist tier. I'd really appreciate if you guys were able to go and support me there so that I can make my dreams a reality of giving something back to all of you and to the game devs that have made such an amazing career for me. Now, with all of that awkwardness said and past, tell me what you think of the idea of Nightcrawler being a strategist. I'm sure plenty of you in the comments are going to yell at me about how wrong I totally am. Wait. Does that guy have my partner's concept art as his profile picture? The irony of this all. Anyway, if you made it this far, even past the shameless self-promotion, please comment "Tank Crawler confirmed" in the comments to troll people. And take care of yourselves, drink some water, play some games, and see you later, critics!